Episode of Sports and Songs podcast. We're your hosts, Dan and Andy. We're on season 4. Andy, we're on episode number 21. Tonight's a sports edition, and we're on April 3rd, 2023. Now, you know what that means, Andy. The winter season is winding down.
Yes. I saw, locally here in Minnesota, we had snow again over the weekend, another little quick snowstorm.
Weather-wise, we still have some snow, but
I heard the local news, they're saying late May, possibly earlier June, to open the golf courses.
Well,
you might see people jumping off bridges here pretty soon.
I had a discussion with the neighbor this morning, Andy, and he said, the farmers had complained so much about no rain last year.
Yeah.
All we heard about is how dry it was. Well, now it'll be a month or two before anyone even gets into the fields. It's going to be so wet. But be that as it may, the state high school winter tournaments are done.
Yep.
College really is going to be wrapping up this coming weekend, because basketball wraps up tonight. The Frozen Four in hockey, which the Gophers are in, begins Thursday and Saturday, I think, right?
Yep.
Now, I do have, before the trivia question, two results in the NIT. Now, not many people follow the NIT, Andy.
Unless your team's in it, you don't follow it really,
You really don't. And so I make a point. But by the way, if anyone sees any posts or tweets from either of the NITs, it's not from Andy, it's from me. I like to push to get that stuff out there, but no one really follows it. I try to give them some love.
Yeah.
NIT finals, women's basketball. Kansas beat Columbia. Not the country of Columbia. This isn't the World Baseball Classic. This
Kansas took on the country of Columbia.
And North Texas over UAB in the men's NIT. Once again, a big shout out to the champions and the teams that got to the finals. But other than that, no one really follows the NIT. It's kind of the redheaded stepchild, as they call it.
Yes. Yeah.
But anyway, those are all done now too. Basketball ends tonight. The women's basketball will cover that later. But the main thing this week is the Frozen Four for hockey, and then that wraps up all the winter sports. And it's all going to be baseball, softball, horse racing, and NASCAR.
Yep.
All right, trivia question.
Trivia, hit us.
There's one player in Major League history, Andy. We talk about Pete Rose with 4,000 hits and a handful of players that have 3,000 hits. But there's one player in Major League history that has 500 or more hits with 4 different ball clubs. Only one player. So by the time you add that up, that's 2,000 hits right there, which is good.
Yeah.
This person's name is not going to be in any Hall of Fame talk, I don't think.
We'll see.
Well, could be. We'll get to that at the end of the show, but let's go over to Andy's.
Let's go to my page here.
We get there for the week. And like we said, lots coming down here, lots going on here, lots happening.
Yeah.
One time of the year, I think.
Fastest growing podcast in all of Western Carver County.
There it is. That's
us. We know these guys. Going to start off with some Major League Baseball and some Mets stuff. I'm not going to get into the standings. We're a weekend in.
Yeah, fair enough.
Not going to worry about standings right now. Mets did have a game this afternoon, the home opener in Milwaukee. And Milwaukee, with their roof closed, still had a flyover at the stadium. So stay classy, Milwaukee.
Now, Andy, I've got a point on that. I've been to that park, and they plan to have basically the roof open. So I think they have to plan for the flyover, assuming the roof's open, but they make the decision that sometime that afternoon, if there's any amount of rain in the forecast, even a sprinkle, they'll close that roof. So I'm guessing that's what happened. Do you know?
They probably booked the flyover so far in advance, you can't really turn that away.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing. It's
opening day. That tailgaters out there. It's Milwaukee.
It's the ironic thing of all times. The flyover over the dome.
Yes.
Awesome.
Well, they do that in football too, though, on Dome Stadium. So anyway, here's the box score. The Mets lost 10-0 to the Brewers today. And something that really, to quote my father, roughs my fur the wrong way happened in this game today.
Okay.
There's our lineup. There's the Mets lineup today. They only got 3 hits. Louis Guillorme got 2 of them. If you look at it, he played third base, then shortstop, and then he pitched.
Oh, yes.
There's his line. Gave up a hit, no runs, position players pitching. No. Just bother.
Now beginning this year, they can if certain criteria are met, right?
Yeah, they're down by 10, so that was in that wheelhouse. Okay. So Cookie Carrasco didn't do very well. Hunter didn't do well. Santana came. Why Santana couldn't go another inning? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Start with the bad news, get that out of the way. There we go.
Okay, that's out of the way.
Some Major League Baseball stuff I want to cover here. A couple dates to remember. The World Tour. MLB's got a little world Tour going on here. The Padres and the Giants, end of April, will play a couple games in Mexico City. Then you got the London games in June between the Cardinals and the Cubs. Last year, I think the London series was the Yankees and Red Sox. So try to keep rivalries going and kind of the bigger name teams that the countries will know. So you're not going to see the Rockies and the Astros playing anytime soon. Maybe the Astros against one of the world champs, but the big names everybody's going to know. And London, England did pretty good in the World Baseball Classic, so I look for good attendance there again. This could only help the game grow. I don't know if there's any talks of, we got the London series, but do they do one in Germany maybe? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, interesting.
Coming up. That's what exciting. Sports and songs. The new feature now during the baseball season is the 80s baseball stat of the week.
I like it.
It's basically covered around three different. There was a few players that really dominated the 80s in stats. Ricky Henderson, McGuire, Greg Maddux, Tony Gwynn. Probably a lot of those four guys, basically.
Andre
Gary
Dawson.
Carter, because I like Gary Carter. So, yeah.
Yes.
Gooden, Straw. So here's our stat of the week. Greg Maddux, quote, "If a pitcher can change speeds, every hitter is helpless, limited by human vision, except for that expletive Tony Gwynn." Gwynn's stats against Maddux: 107 appearances, 415 batting average, 0 strikeouts.
Oh, that's 107 appearances?
Plate appearance. Now, Maddux wasn't a big strikeout pitcher, but you figure 107 appearances, you're going to get 1 K in there.
Yeah.
415 batting average against Greg Maddux, considered arguably the greatest pitcher of the 80s, if not arguably Mount Rushmore of starter pitching in this genre.
Yeah.
And Gwynn just made him his expletive. So.
Oh, that is unreal.
And I have Greg Maddux is a great guy. Tony Gwynn, rest his soul, is a great man. When he says expletive Tony Gwynn, I'm pretty sure it was all fun, tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah, it's got to be. Imagine the respect that he has for that guy.
Yeah, you get that one burn your side for whatever sport you're in. There's that one guy that always jams you, And one thing I don't have a picture of here going into tonight's game, bonus note, San Diego State University basketball team. Who's the all-time assists leader on that basketball team?
Boy.
Tony Gwynn.
Is it for real?
Yes. So,
oh my goodness.
Bonus trivia for you.
That is solid.
Gopher baseball. Here's the Big Ten standings. Now, this isn't everybody's went down as far as the Gophers are to show you how hard it is in the Midwest here. Gophers are 2-1 in the conference, are sitting good at Big Ten play, but 7-20 overall. You go, oh, they're 2-1, they're right up there in the first place, but Indiana's 20-8. Michigan, 15-12, 16-9. So these other teams have done well. Now, did they play cruddy teams? I didn't get that in depth on it. You all have a computer, figure it out. But I'm just saying, the Gophers started out so record-wise poorly. Not gonna say they played bad. The scores that were in them, but record-wise poorly. That might hurt them later on when it comes tournament time. But then again, they've played the big teams already, so they've got a taste of it. So we'll see how that goes. Gophers are always tough in the Big Ten. It's that overall record that destroys them on tiebreakers. So let's keep an eye on that as the year goes on. Gophers are always fun to watch. They do have, I think, 2 games against North Dakota State this year. So if you catch them as they come down.
Okay.
Keep an eye on the schedule for that one. And also University of Minnesota Ballroom Dance Team. I got this off the Channel 5 website, kstp.com. You can follow it. That's the Ballroom Dance Team. Got their 5th straight national championship.
Now, I've got a question, Andy.
Yes.
Do you know how many D1 programs even have a program?
Okay, now when I looked this up, I did not see it on the roster.
Oh,
Actually,
is this a club? Maybe
it's a
this is a
club.
club.
So that's why
Okay.
it's a national championship, not,
Okay.
NCAA. It's not NCAA sponsored. It's the national championship. See in the top, it's U of M Ballroom Dance Club. I don't care what club you are. I don't care if you win the neighborhood ring toss championship 5 years ago. That's hard to do. So
Correct.
congratulations to these
You're
athletes.
winning the national championship. That's a special deal. I did not know that, especially if they rung together all these in a row.
Yeah. And as you know, the interns at your house and my offspring, anyone who tells me a dancer's on athlete's going to get a fat lip.
Yes, that's correct.
So I'll just stop that one. So congratulations to these athletes. I don't care if you're a club or a team or what you are. 5 straight national championships.
Okay.
And also the Gophers, University of Minnesota cheerleader dance squad has won national titles in years in the past too. So dancing in general, .u is the thing to be right now. So
okay.
Some World Wrestling entertainment news. It's going to kind of take up most of the rest of my show here talking wrestling. WrestleMania was this weekend. I'm just going to kind of skim over the results real quick here. They did their Hall of Fame. They did it 2 nights at Sophie Stadium. Did 160,000 over 2 nights.
Jeez.
Did everything from really good matches to Snoop Dogg in a match. So just had a little of everything. The reason I bring it up is wrestling for WWE this week was a big week for them. It was our WrestleMania weekend. And usually their first show, which I caught the first half hour before I got here ready, the first Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania is a big deal. And this year it was a big deal as they announced they were sold to Endeavor.
Okay.
Endeavor is a company who also owns UFC. So Endeavor is going to own both WWE and UFC. It was $9 billion. Now, everybody at WWE, they still have jobs. Vince McMahon is still going to have his say. He's on a board of directors. Triple H is still running the thing. That was his big announcement. We're still, whatever the chant is, beginning, then, now, forever, or whatever. So nothing's going to change, except their paycheck is now signed by Endeavor instead of Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Basically, is what's going to happen.
Okay.
Nothing's going to change. They got TV deals, pay-per-views that might change because their contracts, but nothing else there. Together, and this is from Vincent Kennedy McMahon himself, together we will be the $21+ billion live sports and entertainment powerhouse, the collective fan base of more than 1 billion people in an exciting growing opportunity.
Wow.
So UFC is burning money. They're making it so fast. Same with WWE. Now they're together. Does this mean you will see? Okay, WrestleMania was a 2-night event. Are you going to see a UFC fight and WrestleMania wrestling stuff in the same event? Don't know.
Commingling, yeah.
A lot of UFC guys have wanted to go to WWE. Some WWE guys, or pro wrestlers will say, have gone to the Ultimate Fighting. Jack Swagger from AEW has done Ultimate Fighting. If you remember back in the day, Ken Shamrock, Dan the Beast Severn came over to WWE afterwards. So this might help a lot of these guys with the transition too. They can still do both if they want. A lot of these guys are probably buddies and trained together anyway. So this is only going to make it better, I think, for both sports.
Interesting.
Here is our board of directors. You see Vincent Kennedy McMahon will still be the executive chair board. Dana White's the UFC president. He's on this board. Nick Khan is also the president of WWE. Now, again, you don't see Hunter's name on here. He's still running the creative. He's still running the shows we will see. These guys are running the dollars and payroll and all that other happy stuff. The Bushwhackers, if you remember them from back in the day when we were kids.
Bingo.
Well, sad news today. Bushwhacker Butch passed away today at 78 years old. Bob Miller from New Zealand. He flew into town for the Hall of Fame over the weekend. Right before the thing started, I saw he had to leave and was rushed to the hospital. He ended up passing away today at the age of 78.
78.
If you followed their career, if he's got a bone, he's broken it. They were in some rough matches. So 78 years old, the lifestyle back then, did it just catch up with him? Not sure. I'm not gonna say good, bad, or different than the guy. Natural causes kind of what they're going with, because if you flew into town and got sick at the last minute, something happened. So, but just he was gone to the hospital. They started a GoFundMe for him right away. Now he's passed. So I'm sure that GoFundMe is still out there for Bob Miller. I'm sure if you look at WWE's website or just look up Bushwhacker Butch, you're going to see all the information there if you care to help out with that cause.
Okay.
And one more thing on my soapbox.
Yes.
Sticking with wrestling.
Okay.
They had a WrestleCon this weekend down there. These are these events where you can sign up, get autographs, this, that, and the other thing. And here's, it's kind of a long story longer on the soapbox before I get into it. I don't care what business you're in. If you're selling hot dogs to a street cart, or if you're the CEO at 3M. If I'm the CEO there and my dad does something stupid, that should not affect my job.
Okay.
Makes sense. If I'm selling hot dogs at the street corner, my dad's a town drunk. Why are you not buying a hot dog from me? What does that have to do with anything? Okay. So in that frame of mind, Rick Steiner, whose son Braun broke was the NXT champion for WWE. And Rick Steiner, Hall of Famer, him and his brother Scott Steiner, the Steiner brothers, great wrestlers from back in the day. Rick is now, I believe, a realtor or teacher or some politician. He's moved on in life, but he's come back recently because of his kid in there. Anyway, Giselle Shaw, the other person you see in the picture here, for those of you watching on the YouTube, starts walking by, and Rick Steiner, for some reason, starts yelling at her. You're a man. You shouldn't be doing this. Just stuff like that, because Giselle is a transgender. 10 years ago was a man, has made the transformation, if that's the politically correct word. I'm not being mean when I say that, but has become a woman and is wrestling now at Impact Wrestling, and very successfully. Well, funny, Rick says all this, and the next night his son loses the title. Was it because of this? Like I said on a post up on Facebook. Did he lose because of this? Possibly. Should he have? No. Your dad did something stupid and made an ass of himself. That's not the kid's fault. And if they say they did plan on losing the belt anyway, is this going to ruin his career moving up? Who knows? Hats off to this Giselle Shaw, because as it happened, she just kept her head down and kept walking. She did not engage him. She did not encourage him. She did not say, well, you're this and that. And she just went on her own business. That when she got to her table, she asked someone else who was saying that, because she didn't even bother to look up to see where it was coming from.
Okay.
So hats off to her for not picking a fight and moving on. Pro wrestlers, one of those things we've talked about here about other sports, about men becoming women to wrestle or to play in women's sports.
Swimming, yeah, Lia Thomas. We brought that up before.
Yep. But
interesting, but we don't hear the parents going after the person, making comments directed toward them in person.
Yeah.
Now, be that as it may, whether he did that or not, it should not have any impact on the
kid's career.
Themselves.
And this was pro wrestling. There's a lot of intergender matches that have been happening a lot, become popular in indie scene. So in this case, a man becoming a woman that wrestles a woman, it's pro wrestling, folks. Yes, I get caught up when I tell you the storylines of who's going to beat up who and, oh, he really did him bad. It's pro wrestling, folks.
Well, it's probably very good for the storylines for the pro wrestling is very. Yeah, they can have a lot of
run
with that. They can run with that. That's huge.
Yeah. But so hats off to Giselle Shaw. I'm just gonna say it for keeping her cool, not making an issue of it. Which, again, not getting into the lifestyle part, just going into the
response. It all comes down to the response.
Yep. And that's what I got, sir. That's kind of my soapbox there, just meaning if dad or son or family members have something stupid, that should not affect the rest of the family.
Yeah,
in a case like this, the son should be penalized in his career because his old man said something stupid at a Comic-Con or a wrestling con.
correct. Makes sense. I see your point. It's I agree.
And with that said, kind of like, okay, try not to open up a whole big can of worms going on a tangent. O.J. Simpson, guilty or not, what he did should not have him kicked out of the Football Hall of Fame. That had nothing to do with football.
It's like the Pete Rose story. O.J. Simpson was a tremendous running back. Athlete.
Yeah, they ruined his sports career because what he did 40 years
Pete
later.
Rose, the best.
Yep.
Simply the best.
Yep.
And so all this stuff gets overshadowed, right, wrong, or indifferent.
The Black Sox.
The Black Sox scandal.
I mean, Shoeless Joe couldn't read or write to save his life. He just put an X down for his name because he wanted to be one of the boys, and he's not in the Hall of Fame.
And then he get busted for what was it called? Throwing the World Series.
Yeah, but never convicted. They were all found
what his average was. Didn't he lead the team in hitting?
375, hit the only home run or something like that, and everything else. And
they got him for throwing it to purposely lose the World Series. Well, just look at the stats. He didn't.
He mentioned he tried. Holy cow!
Or at least he wasn't successful if he was trying to. But Shoeless Joe, tremendous athlete on the diamond. Now
a lot of those guys on that team were, but yeah.
Oh yes. Now we got some final notes. Now the trivia. Let's do the trivia now.
Trivia before we forget.
Because we don't want to forget, because this is a very interesting, in fact, I did not know this fact before the trivia topic came up. So the question, once again, is there is one player in Major League Baseball history that has played for 4 different teams and recorded over 500 hits with 4 different teams.
Well, I think he actually played for more than 4 teams.
Maybe more, but 4 teams, he collected more than 500 hits on 4 different teams. That's over 2,000 hits right there on 4 teams. We know people have done 4,000 hits, 3,000 hits, 500 on 4 different teams. Only one person has done it. What's your guess?
Well, I know this one because I gave you the question.
Okay, so you know.
And like I said, even looking back at it, one of the teams that was listed on there, I totally forgot he played there. Not long enough to get 500 hits.
So anyone out there, if you can guess this, I'm guessing, I can't believe anyone would even know this. So the answer is Rusty Staub. Rusty Staub played with the Orioles, the Mets, the Tigers, and the Expos.
That's where he got 500.
Long enough to collect 500 hits with each of those teams. Now, just to put in perspective, I know back in the days when Kirby Puckett was racking up hits, Tony Gwynn, 200 a season is tough to do.
Right.
So 100 is ballpark for a guy like Rusty Staub, which means you still need to play 5 seasons or so, putting up 100 hits a year to get to that 500 number. Now, doing that with 4 different teams, now it gets into the whole stamina, longevity as a veteran playing that many years, that many teams.
I got Rusty's career stats here for you.
Okay.
2,716 hits in his career.
Okay.
He played from 63 to 85. He played with Houston, Washington, which would have been the Senators at the time.
Senators.
The Mets, the Tigers, back with Washington again. Detroit, Texas, and the Mets again. So yeah.
So once again, 22 seasons, 2,700 career hits. That's a solid player. And a lot of times the solid players are not being moved around or traded that often. And he moved around and was successful at all levels.
He was in Detroit for 3 years. 173, 175, and 176 hits. Just
so he got 500 in 3 years.
Yeah.
That's no easy task.
No.
Putting up numbers like that, even back
then. And then he had 58. He went back in 79. He split the year. 58 more, I'm sorry. So, yeah. Unreal.
So that's Rusty Staub. Now, so do you think – now, he's not in the Hall of Fame, right?
That's a double checking. I thought
he ever get in? Go ahead and look that up. I'm going to talk a little XFL.
Yep.
XFL fans out there, we know there's some, not a lot, not many, but it's a 10-game season. It's a 10-week season. 10 weeks in the spring, and the season's done. They do a playoffs, and it's over. They've completed 7 of those weeks. All we have left is weeks 8, 9, and 10. We're down to the final 3 weeks, Andy, and it's going to be USFL time. It's going to cut over.
It's going to roll right into it.
Now, as far as baseball, I've got some stats for former Twins fans. I know there's some fans out there.
Yeah.
The season just started, but the home run leaders right now, the leader, I should say, or leaders, CJ Cron, a former Twin.
I love him when he was here. Yeah.
3 homers. Now, Mitch
He's
Garver.
in Colorado, though.
Rangers, Mitch Garver, former catcher extraordinaire in the Twins farm system, already has 2 homers. And current Twin, Joey Gallo, hit his 3rd today. So the old CJ Cron just stays coming up year after year for All-Star.
Yep.
Numbers, hits, slugging percentage, home run. He's up in the finals every year. And that's a guy who flies under the radar.
I noticed watching the first series this year, too, Louis Arise with the Marlins did very well against the Mets. So he's still.
Well, I looked that up, Andy, against that Mets pitching, one of the pitching that there is in the entire Major League Baseball. He hit .563 in 3 games.
Yep. And did great at second base with the glove. So
he's another guy to watch, Luis Arise. But any news on the Hall of Fame there for Rusty Staub?
Okay, here it is. Here's what Rusty got. Never received more than the 7.9% and was dropped off the ballot after receiving 3.8% in 77 or 97. But he was inducted into the Mets Hall of Fame in 1986. So Mets went on to win the World Series that year.
So that would make sense. Not up there enough to garner the votes year after year after year. Finally, you drop off, and that's the purpose. That's the spirit of why they do that.
And I don't think he'll ever make the Veterans Committee either. But like the Mets put him in, I wouldn't be surprised with that. Nationals do because of the Expos career. Legrand Orange, they used to call him up in Montreal. Big guy. Everybody loved Rusty. Number 10.
Now, we talked about the Frozen Four for hockey. The one last thing we haven't mentioned so far on the show is NHL. NHL season's winding down. The Minnesota Wild are in the hunt. They're in their division, and there's only, I think, 6 games remaining on the schedule.
Yeah.
And so that'll be fun to watch. Now, a lot of teams make the postseason. They've got a little different format this year, but those series are best of 5, best of 3, best of 7. It goes on forever.
Yeah.
I'm a fan that they should wrap that up a little sooner. The season's long enough. You shouldn't be playing well into June, but be that as it may, for the Wild fans out there, this should be a fun postseason.
The Wild are in, the Kraken are in for sure. So
the Kraken, they're leading on the wild card, I think, for the wild card. But those playoffs are fun. You yourself said the NHL postseason is one of the best things to watch.
That, and it's right after March Madness too, so it's just the adrenaline rush to watch. I think hockey is just. I like watching hockey, and we don't talk a lot of hockey on here. And
fast-paced.
I love watching hockey. I couldn't name you 3 players on the Minnesota Wild. I just love watching it. I love watching the Gopher hockey. I love watching USA hockey, high school hockey. I couldn't tell you a player to save my life. I just love watching it, and maybe that's why I don't have a horse
vested interest.
Yeah,
that could be. It is fun. It's fast-paced. It does go on for many series and many rounds, along with the NBA. Those things go on much longer. But for those not really into baseball, and now you get spring football, that's something that you can keep yourself occupied with. But USFL starting in a couple weeks. That's all I've got for the show, Andy. Anything else?
Well, speaking of the NHL playoffs, just a topic to put out for discussion board on social media if you want to put up there. Maybe we'll have a couple of people on, have a round table one day and talk about it. Baseball in the regular season plays a series. Therefore, in the playoffs, it's a series. Basketball and hockey, you play individual games, but you have a series in the playoffs. Should they be one and done or not? College basketball is one and done. Why?
Do you know how fun the NHL postseason would be if it was a 16-team, 8-team bracket tournament, one game? I'd watch it. I'm not even an NHL fan.
Yep. Well, we're doing a special episode tomorrow on the NCAA men's and women's tournament. Yes. All I'm going to say is after watching last night's yesterday afternoon's LSU Iowa game, I would love to see those 2 teams in a 5-game series.
Oh.
The way that game went, I'd love to see that in a 5-game series. Because first of all, I'll tell you right now, it's going 5 games. You know?
Now the spirit of the multi-game series really is baseball with pitchers. You have a dominant pitcher come in, and then you can't have a one game and done. So you have to go a best of 3, best of 5.
Yep.
Goalies in hockey are not like that. You can have there's no reason to have a series in NHL at all.
Although
unless you had a home and away in a 3-game series or something.
I mean, the year the North Stars made it, the year the Wild almost made the Stanley Cup, a hot goalie makes or breaks you right there.
Yep.
But that's our topic coming up maybe in the summer here. We have
it's not like the same argument as baseball. But yeah, football and hockey and basketball, all that should be single elimination, I think, and that'd be great. But the almighty dollar comes into play, Andy.
Because look how great the NCAA tournament is, and that's one and done. Especially the NBA was one and done. The NHL was one and done. Or God forbid the NFL went to a 3-game series for the Super Bowl. Made a 3-game series instead. There's more money there. So there's the flip side of it. You know?
It's a lot. It's a lot of the business side. It's the entertainment side, but yeah. March Madness
this summer. Well, if you think you got a say, let us know in the comments below.
That'd be a good topic.
If we got decent comments, decent person might even have you on the show for a roundtable on it.
Well, would there be NASCAR, a best of 3?
Well, kind of, because their tournament is that their playoffs is a 10-race tournament.
That's the play. Okay,
that's their playoff.
Sorry. Would the Daytona 500 be a best of 3? You know.
Oh, okay. You say do it 3 weeks in a row and
do it 3 weeks in a row. I don't think that would be fun. The playoff system makes it fun
because it's kind of a step after 3 races. They drop off 4 guys.
I like that.
Drop off 4 guys. So you're kind of doing a best of 3 in 3 races and dropping 4 guys off. So they kind of are doing a series in a way.
Yeah. I couldn't see like a Kentucky Derby, 3 weekends to determine the true winner.
But they have the Triple Crown. So kind of
that's what makes it fun for those.
That's kind of what it is. It's a do you want to win the Kentucky Derby, the Belmont, and the Preakness? Yeah, that's great. You win those, but you want to win the Triple Crown. That's winning all 3.
It's true. It's true. All right, we'll be back in a week. Enjoy everybody. We'll see you next week.
See ya.
See ya.